You can't say Triple H isn't ambitious. He's the sort of guy who always has his nose in every possible pie, spinning their plates while mixing metaphors. He's a doer, a dreamer, and a darer. But, whisper this quietly, sometimes he often fails. Hunter's current project seems to be going along swimmingly. NXT has been a roaring success, and though the so-called developmental brand continues to jettison cash at the COO's indulgence, it has arguably reached its creative apex, offering not one but two Meltzer-approved 5-star matches in the past 4 months. Then there's the women's division, which was revived under Triple H's focus, and now there's even talk of an all-female WrestleMania main event in the not-too-distant future. And there won't be a bra or panty in sight, thank goodness. The game has certainly hit its stride, but its track record is still a little bit patchy here and there. In life, we are defined as much by our failures as we are successes, and that's why today we're going to go through some of the former, because why not? We're a bunch of assholes. And hey, look, don't forget, he thought Kevin Nash would enhance the summer of punk, for crying out loud. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. I'm Simon from WhatCulture, and this is 10 Triple H projects that failed miserably. But before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to stay notified. Ding, ding, done. Number 10, Sheamus. The infamous story of Triple H and Sheamus' bromance has entered wrestling folklore. The veteran was pumping iron one day when a certain plucky Irishman timidly asked if the two could be workout buddies. Friendship soon blossomed between some deadlifts, and a few months later, surprise surprise, trainee Sheamus was WWE champion. A high-profile WrestleMania match between the pair soon followed. The nepotism was plainer than the North Korean Premiership, but in Sheamus' defense, his friendship with the boss's son-in-law simply accelerated his intended elevation. Plus, hey, there's no rule against lifting weights with a colleague. Maybe he's just a gregarious guy. The problem is, no matter how much fans rejected him, Sheamus' push never really ended. He embarrassed indie darling Daniel Bryan in 18 seconds at WrestleMania 28, and inexplicably became WWE champ once more in 2015 when he cashed in his Money in the Bank contract. The move was designed to get people on side with the usurped Roman Reigns, but only served to sour everybody to the very concept of existence. As part of the bar alongside Cesaro, Sheamus has reinvented himself as one of the company's premier tag team wrestlers, and it's a position few could begrudge. But that threat of one last run at the top always looms so long as he keeps going to the gym arm in arm with a certain mate in a high place. But hey, it's not what you know, it's who you know. Number 9, Jeff Hardy. Triple H has always had a bit of a soft spot for Jeff Hardy, even though he's day-glow chalk to the game's very chiseled cheese. The first sign that Hunter had Jeff's back came in April 2001 when he unselfishly gave up his IC title for the youngster. Just over a year later, Triple H egged pal Shawn Michaels into giving Hardy an on-screen endorsement, though it went nowhere when his burned-out protege quit the company in 2003. When Jeff came back 3 years later, refreshed and revigorated, Triple H made sure to set him right back on the rails, lobbying for top billing as part of 2 Survivor Series teams alongside himself. The man with 3 H's did his biggest turn for Jeff yet in 2008, allowing the charismatic enigma to do the honors over Edge to win the WWE title in Armageddon's 3-way. 6 months later, Jeff's run as a franchise player was up in smoke, and all those friendly favors were for naught. In 2017, Jeff made a remarkable return to the company, and even a DUI in early 2018 hasn't managed to stop him. Indeed, the younger Hardy recently won the US title immediately after WrestleMania, so it seems like someone is still keeping an eye out for him. Number 8, Kevin Nash's 2011 comeback. Of course, you gotta look after your pals, but sometimes it goes too far. Though the idea of a 52-year-old Kevin Nash in the top heel role was obviously ludicrous to everybody in 2011, possibly even Nash himself, Triple H certainly didn't think so, as he thought nothing of giving his massive friend an unwarranted and unneeded leg up back into the main event picture. To put this into context, it seemed like Nash had wrapped everything up during his last run with the company, which had been 7 years prior. As you can probably imagine, it went down sort of terribly. Nash clouded over the summer of Punk by knocking out the newly minted champ at SummerSlam, allowing Alberto Del Rio to cash in his Money in the Bank contract. Nash later explained that Triple H had texted him asking him to interfere, which obviously he did without hesitation. The plot thickened when it further transpired that Big Sexy was a big liar and had in actual fact texted himself so he could face Triple H, and then, well, it was clearly a load of old bollocks. What did this whole ridiculous scenario achieve, aside from garnishing Nash's bank balance and pissing a lot of fans off? The answer is not a lot. Number 7, movies. Just about the most positive thing you can say about Triple H's different movies is that yes, he did make some movies. I'm not sure anybody else is still watching them today. After The Rock's successful move to Hollywood, suddenly every grappler wanted to swap spandex for the silver screen. Hunter's thespian ambitions began with a role in campy comic romp Blade Trinity, which I kinda like but don't tell anyone, portraying a vampire henchman. He didn't really lead the game to anything else after this, and he was forced to return to wrestling's arguably lower acting standards. Triple H didn't give up the dream though, and in 2011, he firmly planted his flag in Hollywood with two efforts known as The Chaperone and Inside Out. The former only drew $14,400 at the box office, missing out on breaking even by a mere $28,985,600. As for Inside Out, well, the New York Post called it nonsensical, thickly plotted gumbo. So just a little bit better than Raw then. That was a joke. Number 6, Karma. Triple H can rightly take a lot of credit for helping transform WWE's once awful women's division into what it is today. Though some cynics might dismiss his enthusiasm, he's actually been banging this particular drum for some time. Definitely believes in it. Back in 2010, Hunter drafted in not a diva, but a wrestler, and a formidable one at that, signing TNA's Awesome Kong to a contract with the intent of making her the division's mega heel. Before the renamed Karma could even wrestle her first match though, she became pregnant and was promptly pulled from TV. She made a return in the 2012 Royal Rumble, looking every bit the Beast game had envisioned, frightening Michael Cole out of the ring and eliminating Hunico before coming unstuck at the hands of Dolph Ziggler. It proved a mere cameo. Karma promptly disappeared again before leaving the company in July. She later revealed she had miscarried prior to her comeback, but had lied about the birth as she was afraid to tell the public the truth. It's difficult to dismiss the suggestion that this tragic turn of events contributed to her started WWE run, and unfortunately, circumstances dictated that it just wasn't meant to be. Number 5, Curtis Axel. You could drop WWE into a barrel of honey and they'd still come up sucking their thumb. Whatever that means. Despite being handed the son of the great Kurt Hennig on a plate, the company managed to make a colossal arse of their gift. Sure, he was part of the Nexus faction, but as a virtual non-entity with the old-school Irish babyface name, Michael McGillicuddy. It was like casting Bill Murray as an extra, and it was a complete waste of ready-made potential. So in 2012, Triple H took it upon himself to make McGillicuddy more perfect. Hunter's big revival saw Kurt Hennig Jr. bequeathed with the legacy of his father and grandfather, rechristened Curtis Axel, whilst paired with Mega manager Paul Heyman. To cap things off, Trips even booked himself to lose on Axel's first match back. The Axe went on an absolute tear in the months that followed, conquering John Cena twice, although be it via countouts, Chris Jericho, and courtesy of a screwy DQ finish, even got Triple H once again. The super push culminated with the IC strap around Axel's waist, the very same belt so proudly worn by his father. But then something must have happened, because suddenly the momentum screeched to a sudden and unexplained halt. Axel was lumped with Ryback before assuming his modern day role as a jobber. With the Miz's move to SmackDown, maybe Curtis could be in line for another revival, maybe not. Number 4, Sin Cara. Appropriately enough, Triple H botched hard when he made Sin Cara his first signing as new head of talent back in 2011. At the time, it looked like a massive coup. The Mexican had garnered a significant reputation down in his home country as Mystico, but as he would so often in WWE rings, the new Sin Cara crashed spectacularly. The company pushed the new import's debut hard, even hosting press conferences to herald the arrival. When the big day came, Sin Cara flopped like a fish out of water. The dim yellow lights could only do so much to hide his regular bungles, and to make matters worse, he was suspended for a wellness policy violation within his first 3 months on the books. Over the next 3 years, the masked Maverick did little to endear himself to the company, and after blaming them for not allowing him to wrestle with freedom during an interview in his native Spanish, he was cut loose from his contract. When you have no face, you're easy to replace, and the Sin Cara mask was simply transferred to his old nemesis, Hunico. Number 3, Batista's 2014 comeback. Triple H couldn't fail with this one. After all, who would hate a major Hollywood star and all-round nice guy like Batista making a long-awaited comeback to the ring, especially as he was set to star in one of the most anticipated films of the year? Wrestling fans, that's who. Seeing it was a case of mates before merit, the crowd in Philadelphia for the Royal Rumble absolutely shat all over Big Tave's huge comeback and eventual victory. Not only did they view him as a part-timer, but he was taking the WrestleMania 30 main event from the man they wanted, which was Daniel Bryan. The reaction was so vitriolic that it even made the mainstream media. After repeatedly booing Batista out the building, WWE were left with no choice but to transfer their big babyface versus authority angle to the bearded one, albeit begrudgingly. Dave took his little beret and he headed back to Hollywood. But I will say, Batista is awesome. Number 2, Randy Orton is the next Stone Cold Steve Austin. Triple H's decision to rehash the legendary Four Horsemen stable may have had a little something to do with ego, but still, Evolution was awesome, and I like awesome. Besides, Hunter's ambition was to use the group as a launching pad for WWE's next major singles star, apparently with Randy Orton as the chosen one. The third generation Maverick was pushed hard and fast, capping off a breakthrough 2004 with a memorable feud opposite Mick Foley. The company was so hot on young Orton that internal media began referring to him as the next Steve Austin. Here was a man the industry could hang their hat on and give the process a leg up. WWE made Randy the youngest world champion in their history at SummerSlam 2004. Then it all collapsed. Triple H turned on his stablemate the very next night, taking his title back a few weeks later. The idea was for Orton to beat his nefarious leader under the bright lights at WrestleMania 21, But when Batista emerged as a babyface monster, plans changed. Hunter kicked Orton to the curb as Big Dave, establishing a bit of a template, took his Mania spotlight. No wonder Orton has kind of looked a bit disinterested in it all ever since. Number 1, his own master plan for 2002. Triple H in 2002 all figured out. He'd return from injury, win the Royal Rumble, and then go on to have a For the Ages classic opposite Chris Jericho in the main event of WrestleMania 18. The in-ring masterpiece would be the perfect arrival of his modern-day Austin babyface trajectory and set him as the industry's dominant star for years to come. However, that didn't happen. In the run-up to the showdown, Jericho's wishy-washy booking already threatened to undermine interest in his eventual blow-off with Hunter. Instead of a legitimate blood feud between two top stars, Y2J was nothing more than Stephanie McMahon's lapdog, a proxy which allowed the boss's daughter to take centre stage in the affair. That was just a footnote though, because ultimately, Triple H's big night would be ruined by a blast from the past. After The Rock and Hulk Hogan shared one of the most exhilarating, electrifying and energy-sapping encounters in WrestleMania history, Hunter's big main event didn't stand a chance. When the game rolled out for his meticulously planned climax, nobody cared because they were all worn out. The day after, the only name on any wrestling fan's lips was Hulk Hogan, so much so that the returning legend was booked to defeat Triple H for his newly won title at the first opportunity. The game's plan hadn't really worked out as he wanted.
Hey guys, thanks for watching the video. Don't forget to subscribe below, and if you're looking for more content like this, then try a few things that are floating about around my ears. It might be fun. I can't promise it though, but it might be.